his
Give
eyes.
me that. Ignacia. Shh. Let that go. Honey.
The electricity was cut off on purpose again, Dad. What happened? There's a gun?
Get him out of here, Nabaldo, please.
Ignacio, you killed Gonzalo? Ignacio, why
Get
did
him
you
out
shoot
of here.
Gonzalo?
Take him
Why?
away, Nabaldo.
Why,
And
Ignacio?
tell
Why did you shoot him?
to come here as soon as possible.
What happened?
Corolla, where were you? Were you hiding?
What happened?
I don't know. It sounded like a shot.
I'll go look.
Where are you going, Corolla? Please, it's too dangerous. Stay here. Where were you?
I've always been right here.
No, that's not
Ignacio
true.
shot him!
What's
Nabaldo,
going on?
let me go!
Calm down.
We need
What's
help,
all this?
please.
What happened?
Ignacia. Ignacia killed Gonzalo.
What?
Mr. Javier, please. Mr. Renato needs you at the shop. Go
Oh
quickly.
my goodness.
Matias, come with me. My camera.
No.
Where's
don't
my
go.
camera?
Don't
My
leave
camera!
side, Emilio, please. Pilar, let's go home right now. Pilar, snap out of it. Come on, we're going home.
Yes, please. As soon as possible. Thank you. I just called emergency services. Please take care of this, Javier.
He's dead.
Make the calls you have to make. This can't get out of hand, Javier.
Don't worry, Mr. Renato. I'll take care of everything.
The gun is there. Clean the fingerprints.
I can't do that, Renato. That's where...
I said clean the fingerprints, damn it!
He's alive. He just moved.
Gonzalo! Gonzalo! Gonzalo, open your eyes! Gonzalo! Please open your eyes! Honey! My love! Open your eyes! Oh, please, love.
NTV, turning on your world.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. All the way coming to you live from here at Rock Classic Hotel in Tororo. This afternoon, the Situation Room Uganda is discussing issues to do with the East African community, and the topic is Uganda in the East African community, rethinking the national interest. The East African community is a regional economic community established under Article 2 of the Treaty for the Establishment of the East African Community that entered into force exactly this month 15 years ago, and that was in July 2000. And today, Uganda, the president, the ministers, we have a minister in charge of the East African Community Affairs, we have 9 members of the East African Legislative Assembly who elected from the Parliament of Uganda and sit in Arusha to discuss issues of regional integration. This afternoon, in this hotel, we are meeting an audience gathered from around Tororo, which is one of the closest borders to Kenya, and what better place to have a debate on regional integration than a place like this. My guest this afternoon, Mr. Eyero Jacob, Youth Ambassador to the East African Community, is right on my right here. There is Mr. Emmanuel Jorwell. He's the CEO of Josi Limited, an exporter of fish. He deals mainly within the region, but mostly in Kenya. And then Mr. Ekakoro Frederick, who is the CEO of Milestone Africa. Gentlemen, you're most welcome. And to you, the audience, you will be following us on Twitter, on Facebook, YouTube, and this debate is coming to you live on NTV from here in Tororo. Jacob, let me start with you. You represent Ugandan youth as an ambassador to the East African community in Arusha. You therefore probably know and can put a hand, on some of the benefits that this country has reaped out of the integration the last 15 years. What are some of those that you can talk about?
Thank you so much, Charles. First and foremost, I would like to thank our audience for coming in their large numbers. The Situation Room is providing us with a platform to discuss pertinent issues to this nation and to the region at large. The pertinent question of the day is whether we are benefiting from the East African community as a people. And I would emphasize that there is an inevitable end in benefit for us. We benefit from any endeavor to integrate as nations. And that is visible in Europe, that is visible in the US, where the states adopted federalism, and that is very visible in all the regional corporations in Africa, under SADC, that's the Southern African region, under COMESA, and now under the East African Community. The East African Community has achieved the highest gains in any regional integration around Africa. So it means, therefore, that the gains of the East African Community for any member or any partner state are inevitable, from the trade gains in the trade tariffs lowering and the common market and custom union protocols. But for the common man, the gains of the East African Community extend to your horizon. Where can you reach? How far can you now go in business without incurring an extra cost for being a non-national of Kenya, of Tanzania, or of Rwanda? Those are the gains. As a student, where can you go for study and not pay any extra tuition? Now, those are personal gains. At a national level, the gains are immense.
Thank you, Jacob. One of the questions that continues bothering people, especially in this region, is the fear or uncertainty of, sustainability of this integration. We know that we are not coming from anything new. In 1977, we had this community, a similar one, that broke down. How do we ensure this time that this does not happen?
Thank you so much. Now, in 1961, Mwalimu Nyerere said that we needed to integrate in 1961 before we got independence, before leaders of those nations would give themselves to the intrigues of nationhood. His fears were confirmed in 1977, and these are some of the reasons why the erstwhile community collapsed. So what then was the solution? In 1999, when the heads of states signed the treaty to began the roadmap to re-establish the community, it was noticed that we needed to have a step-by-step approach, an approach that is not conclusive at the first point. So that is why under Article 5 of the treaty, we have a step-by-step approach. We first achieve a customs union, then we achieve a common market, then we achieve a monetary union, and ultimately a political federation. Such that by the time we arrive at the political federation, all the necessities of a successful political federation are in place. All the necessities of a monetary union are in place, facilitated by the customs union and the common market. So that is the first check. The second check is that it became more stringent for nations to choose to withdraw. Under Article 12, there is a consensus approach in this community that for any decision to be taken, there has to be consensus among members of the East African community. So as a nation, if Uganda were to want to withdraw, God forbid, we would need to convince Kenya, Tanzania, Rwanda, and Burundi to agree that we should withdraw. And that is a tall call for any country. So those are some of the measures that were put in place. And most of these things are gradually progressing with consensus. And that is what is sustaining the community today.
Let me come to you, Jorwell. Jacob talks about two stages that we have so far achieved, the customs union and the common market protocol. You are a businessman right here in Tororo. And I'm told before we came on air, someone was saying this young man is rich and is trading across the border. Do you feel the market? You know, do you engage in business to a level where you say the benefits are clear for me to feel?
I think I have studied quite a lot of this document that concerns me so much. That is the Common Market Protocol. When you look at the Common Market Protocol, it has got very nice statements inside it. But to me, these statements in the protocol actually are not functional to a level that it can benefit a common man. Here we are looking at me and the student here.
What are those specifics that are in the document concerning the Common Market Protocol but that don't work in your favor?
For example, you can look at free movement of goods. You can look at free movement of persons. You can also look at the right of establishment. You can look at the right of residence. These are in the protocol, but when you are with your products from Uganda and you're crossing to Kenya, these do not work. Okay, you have to undergo a strict check. You have to undergo strict documentation, which is quite much more than what is in the paper. I think the issue may be that
are these checks just at the border point here, right at Malaba, or they are across inside Kenya from the other side?
The checks are right from Malaba up to the final destination. If you're going to Nairobi, definitely you are going to be checked several times. So here we are talking that we are saying that if we are to enjoy from the common market, then we have to implement the acts that have been laid down. So here we are looking at members freely moving, goods freely moving as per the regulation. I don't support the free movement beyond the laws, but of course there are laws within every nation. If we are looking at fish, for example, I'm taking my fish to Kenya, my product should be able to pass the phytosanitary standards of Kenya. It should also be able to pass the phytosanitary standards of Uganda. But here, even if the product is able to pass the standards, still you have move here and there. Thank you.
Can you, Jorwell, I think it is important for the audience here and our viewers to know some of those specific, difficulties that you face outside of what you say in general terms, that I get difficulty moving with my goods, with my fish, is it up to Mombasa? Is it up to Nairobi? Is it what usually happens? Is it the customs officer? Because we are speaking about problems that must be addressed. And how would you want them addressed?
I think the fact of the issue is that the customs officers are well informed about the protocol, okay? But the implementers of the law, here we are looking at the police on the Ugandan side and on the Kenyan side. But for me, I deal so much on the Kenyan side, I can take on the Kenyan side. So the police and the law enforcement, actually they are the law enforcement officers, much informed that once your goods have been cleared at a border, you're free to move from that border. Here we're looking at maybe Malaba or Busia up to your destination there. But of course with checks at the checkpoints where you're going to show your documentation, that we call them the clearance documentations. But when it comes to Kenya, you will be stopped. Then you will definitely have to pay extra money to this individual who will not permit you to move. So I think here the problem is actually not the laws. it's not the protocol, but the implementation. There is lack of knowledge by both we, the citizens, and also the implementers of the law, both in Ugandan side and in the Kenyan side. It is a common thing when you come to Uganda also, driving a Kenyan number plate, which I do sometimes, you will definitely be disturbed even after clearing. So I think it is very vital that East African community should embark on sensitization. There is a lot of lack of knowledge, and this can only be achieved through sensitization of the masses on the benefits of the East African community, to me especially the common market. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jorel. Frederick, you do business inside Uganda, but you still coordinate a lot with your brothers and sisters in Kenya. Jorel talks about an interesting scenario of being disturbed both sides of the border. Taking it from there, I wanted to find out from you whether you think the same way, because I think the reality of the day is that there are dynamics even that come in this issue of globalization, integration, to do with security. The issues of terrorism now is a real challenge. Do you think alike with Jorwell, or you face difficulties that you think only need sensitization like he's saying? Or is it a bigger problem than just the need for sensitization?
Well, thanks, Charles. As Emmanuel said, the East African community has to embark a lot on sensitization. That's very true. Most of the people across the borders do not have much knowledge concerning the East community, the protocols, and all those other agreements and regulations that have been signed. But apart from that, in marriage, a man moves to a woman and says, you know what, I want to marry you. And it gives the reasons why he wants to marry that woman. He gives the manifesto. And the woman, if the woman accepts, they get married. And it beats my understanding why people get married, and then in the process of marriage, or in the course of marriage, there are difficulties in that house. The woman may not sleep in the husband's bed, or the husband may not sleep in the woman's bed. What am I meaning here? If the East African community is really a community, and if we are saying that we should enjoy certain privileges, what is the relevance of us saying we have the East African common market, yet we still have issues like the ones Emmanuel is raising, whereby when people cross to Kenya, they are harassed, they are intimidated, yet when people, for instance, from Kenya cross to Uganda, they are not treated in that way. Why do we enjoy being in such a community that does not give us the same privileges like we do to them?
Can you be clear, Frederick? Are you saying that the conditions are more stringent for us Ugandans across in Kenya than for the Kenyans this side?
Yes, I think this is something that does not even need debate. It is well known that it is very simple for someone to walk into Uganda and do whatever they feel like, and they have the freedom. But a Ugandan to move, for instance, to Rwanda, to Kenya, it's a problem. You're going to be subjected to a lot of security checks, like Emmanuel said, a lot of intimidation and harassment from the police officers. Like those border riders in Malaba, Uganda, when they cross to Kenya, they're harassed. But when the border riders from Kenya cross to Uganda, they have the freedom. They can drive up to Mbale, they can drive up to Iganga, Bujiri, without being harassed.
What is your prescription of the solution to this problem?
The solution here.
Because if that is true, then it means the problem is the other side, which would not, which does not rhyme with the suggestion of the solution by Jorwell, which is that we need our officers here need sensitization. So in this case, are you saying it is supposed to be a government to government interaction to try and resolve these bottlenecks?
Yes, this is why I brought the analogy of a marriage. If a man and a woman are married, then they
should enjoy equal rights.
Pardon?
They should enjoy equal rights.
Yes, there must be consistency in administration of this justice. Not just saying we are in the East African community, then others are like George Orwell once said that all animals are equal. yet others are more equal than others. So this is the situation that is happening in the East African community, that those who are treated in a certain way, then there are those who are treated in a certain way. That is what I fail to understand in the East African community. If we are really a community has to enjoy a number of privileges together.
Thank you so much, Frederick. I'm going to now come to the audience. I can see the audience is very eager now. Hands are already up. Can I request someone to pass the microphone for comments, and who is going to be? Let me start with the gentleman in front here. Just move over here and ask your question or comment. Say your name, and then you tell us who you are asking the question or the comment addressed to.
Thank you, Don. My name is Namdala Emmanuel from Tororo School. I'm going to the ambassador. You talked about the benefits, and I'll go back to Joel and Frederick. I would like to side with you and imagine that the East African community is still a myth. It's not a reality. They are talking about the things that touch us. In East African community, we can imagine that one of the benefits to develop regional trade. But you have heard Joel and Frederick. They're trying to express this kind of comfort when they're trading around East Africa. Two, when I go back to the history, right now, status quo, you'll find that Tanzania is trying as much as possible to back out. I don't know why. You'll help us there. So I'm asking...
Let me clarify quickly. Tanzania did not say they want to back up. All they are saying is that they are, opposed to the fast tracking of certain protocols. I think even including political federation and common, money, currency. They are saying let's go slow and not to fast track. I think that is the right position. But Jacob will clarify more.
Thank you, Don.
Yeah.
Aren't the other countries moving faster than Tanzania, as it's trying to put across? Is there teamwork? Are we a family? Are we working together as the East African countries? Thank you very much.
Next question, the gentleman here.
Thank you very much, Mr. Doctor. My question goes to Ambassador. We are in a situation whereby Uganda, as we are talking, has a problem whereby we may have, actually there is a looming political instability in this country. And
why do you say there is a looming political instability?
Why I say so, it is because other countries of East Africa allow freedom of assembly, a freedom of speech, and so many things. While in Uganda, the current situation is so strict that even political rallies and freedom of speech is not accepted. How are we going to talk on?
I thought we are gathered here. I thought we are gathered here, and we have assembled peacefully. We are expressing ourselves peacefully, and I've given the microphone to you peacefully, and you are talking.
Let me answer you, Mr. Doctor. We are assembling here because we are not hitting the president on the head. We are talking about the East African community. But when we are talking about the East African community, we should talk about the democratic rights of Ugandans.
And the issue of democracy is also entailed in the question of East African community. But thank you for the question. Give to the next person. We shall answer that.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. My name is Emo John Fred. I come from Kwapa, which is about 7 kilometers away from Kenya. And I am also a member of FDC. I serve that part at the district level as a district mobilizer. Mr. Moderator, the issue of the East African community, like somebody said, is just a myth. And probably it might be existing at a personal level. But in the real sense, the East African community is still dead.
Why do you say so?
We cannot talk of East African community when the citizens of either Kenya, Uganda do not understand what the East African community means. Somebody talked about sensitization. I think that is just not even enough. And when I look at Uganda, since I happen to be a Ugandan, the biggest problem that has made the Ugandans not to understand the East African community is civic awareness. We are in a situation where civic awareness has become a very big problem that the government of Uganda does not want to give Ugandans opportunity in matters of civic awareness. We have a very serious political problem that is making government to be afraid in allowing Ugandans to know things that they ought to know. Somebody has just talked of freedom of expression. In Kenya and Tanzania, their level of democracy is far beyond the democracy that some people in Uganda boast about. So, I think Tanzania was right to say that let's go slow in some of these protocols. Because how can you federate with somebody who continues to be the president today, tomorrow, even the grandchildren of some of the people who were not born before somebody became the president are today married with the children?
Thank you, Fred. Thank you so much. Let's give the microphone to another person. You can ask the question or make your comment from wherever you are seated, but standing, just remain where you are. It's okay.
Thank you.
No, you can stand up. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator, and all the honorable members. I'm Emmanuel Pascal, a youth, much as I seem to be beyond the youth age, but I'm a youth. My question goes direct to the ambassador. Since you represent the youth of Uganda in Arusha, in Uganda, for instance, we do not have a minimum wage compared to Kenya. And this has led, in fact, our youth are now engrossed in exploitation. A degree holder can be exploited to the point you cannot believe. Since we are going to integrate, what does this community has for the youth? Two, I would like to supplement on the flow of commodities. You may realize that in Kenya, the liter of fuel, for instance, petrol, is not the same price here in Uganda. These are all disparities which we need to look at and strike a point of balance. If we talk about democracy, I think we may not need to look at these disparities. Uganda has got a no term limit. Kenya has got no term limit. But let us look at the benefits that this community integration will bring to us. For instance, for the few past years, we have enjoyed a good security network. Between Uganda and Kenya, you cannot do any crime. You cannot commit any crime in Uganda and you expect to get a soft landing in Kenya. Never. You still get yourself in coolers. I think we shall have some good benefits, much as there are these disparities in the democracy. But we would embrace the idea of integration. I thank you so much.
Thank you, Pascal. The next question. Let's get a lady here. There is a lady here. And then we cross over to the side where the students are seated. I want them to also ask questions.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I want to say that I agree with what Mr. Joel
What's your name,
said.
madam?
Oh, I'm called Lucy Akoth from Tororo here. I'm a parish supervisor from Kileo Sub-County, somewhere next to Bunyoli.
Yes, go to your question.
So what I wanted to say is that I agree with what the trader said, that there is intimidation at the border by the askaris. When crossing and you are not carrying anything, they will not bother you. But when coming back, you are screened so much, especially if your pocket seems to be heavy or you are carrying something nice looking that you have bought yourself. They will tell you, tengeneza njia, meaning buy the way before you pass, which means if the money, you cannot have that money alone. Or they tell you, toa kitu kidogo, which means still give money. And yet
this is the other side of Kenya or
no,
this
Uganda side?
So by our officers?
Yes.
Are these custom officers or police or
the
other
police,
security?
The police.
Are they usually in uniform?
Very much in uniform. And if they see that if you are resisting, they even threaten to beat you up. That is very unfair. So
do they do that to people like you as well, who are just carrying maybe small goods, or they do it people who are carrying large goods?
Even small goods, they did it to me because I was there 1 month ago, and the lady in particular.
What were you carrying?
I was just carrying some 4 kilos of sugar and a bottle of oil. But the lady who was there was even worse. But the men, I say, they are more understanding. But the ladies, they are very strict with.
Thank you so much, Lucy. Is that all?
So let them be sensitized, and even their bosses to be hard on them. They should not think that we are there to give them extra money besides their salaries. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we are coming back to you. We are right now going for a short break. Allow us go for that break, and we shall come back. The debate continues, and it is Uganda in the East African community rethinking the national interest. And we are having that debate right here at Rock Classic Hotel in Tororo. Let's go for that break.
If you only knew what the future holds after a hurricane comes a rainbow, maybe a reason why all the doors are closed, so you could open one that leads you to the perfect road. Like a lightning bolt, your heart will glow, and when it's time, you know you just gotta ignite the light and let it shine. Just around the night, like the 4th of July. 'Cause baby, you're a firework. We share the moments, we share the love, we share the smiles, we share the pleasures, we share it all with you, Gabane. We share together, we share, yes we share.
We always share things with people we love. Now with Airtel, you can share your internet too. Dial *175 *5#. Select Tugabane and share your internet with up to 5 people.
We share Tugabane.
Airtel, the smartphone network.
Welcome back from that break. Welcome back to the Situation Room, Uganda. And we are here in Tororo, coming to you live, just a few kilometers from Kenya. And we are discussing Uganda in the East African community, rethinking the national interest. Before we went into the break, there were so many eager students here who wanted to ask questions or make comments. Can I request the microphone to be taken to the 2 ladies first? The 2 ladies.
Thank you so much.
Tell us who you want to answer your question, and then yourself, what your name is, and shoot.
My name is Ageta Sophie. I'm from Tororo Girls School, and I'm in Senior 4. My questions go straight to the ambassador. Here are the problems that we are facing, yet you're talking of the benefits. I bring to your notice about corruption. You have spoken a lot that the leaders are up, but what happened to Dr. Margaret Ziwa recently, 6 days ago? There is a lot of corruption amongst the leaders who are trying to be in the East African community. She has been embezzling money. She is allegedly accused of that. And there is nepotism. How is the East African community going to develop? Yet we are saying that we are family. There is no teamwork at all.
What type of nepotism? Where is it being practiced?
That is what they had accused Dr. Margaret Ziwa of alleged 6 days ago.
6 days ago.
Yeah.
Okay, the ambassador will answer, but Margaret Ziwa is the immediate past speaker of the East African Legislative Assembly. Let's have another person there. Behind, there is another hand of a lady there.
Thank you very much. My name is Aliango Agatha from Tororo School, and I would like to bring to notice a point that someone brought up, that there is political instability in Uganda, but there is no political instability in Uganda, because Uganda, we are not seeing any wars in Uganda, and perhaps people are given freedom of speech, and that's why we are here today to debate and talk about everything that we have in our hearts about the East African community, and not that Uganda. If Uganda there was a problem of freedom of, if there was no freedom of speech in Uganda, we would see that Museveni, the president of Uganda, His Excellency the president, would just be eliminating people from their posts because they have spoken a lot of ill things about him. But because of the freedom that we have freedom of speech. And then the other thing maybe I would like to comment about is a problem of about this East African community. There is a problem of a common currency. Kenya's money has more value than that of Uganda. So these people, do you expect Kenya to cut off its pride by coming down and we all begin using the same currency, and yet Ugandan currency is even depreciating each and every moment? The dollar is now actually beating up the shilling. So what are we going to do about this? To me, I would prefer that the East African community should stop dreaming and wake up.
Okay, let's have the next. Yes, the gentleman standing.
Thank you so much, Madam Moderator. My name is Julius Odie. I am the youth chairperson of Malaba Town Council. I want to begin by disagreeing with Mama, who spoke about the aspect of corruption amongst officers. You who gives any corrupt officer anything in line with the corruption is also a corrupt person. So what you should have done in the first place is move the nearest authority. The office of the OC station is very close there. We have other agencies like the office of the BISO, among others, who are charged with that responsibility. Number two, I want to speak in line with the statement made by my brother Frederick Kakoro. He said that security check, much as being subjected to persons on various levels, is part of a harassment. I don't quite agree with you. I want to bring to attention Dugu Frederick Kakoro that currently in East Africa we are having what you call terrorism. All the countries of East Africa are conjoining their hands in an attempt to fight against this evil activity. And the best way for most of these persons who are terrorists to be detected is by only subjecting individuals to security checks. You know, Al-Shabaab is you and me. Anybody among us can be Al-Shabaab. We have had a number of these cases. So speaking about security checks, let's subject it to that line of the terrorism among other events. Additionally, I want to tell you that in line with the Uganda's Millennium Development Goal and Vision 2040, I believe we are moving somewhere. There is an improvement and we are trying to move forward. One, I can tell you, Dongoto, and my dear listeners here, that recently in Tororo they commissioned what you call the standard gauge railway.
You might be misunderstood when you say you are moving forward. Better say you are moving to the future.
Very good. We are moving to the future. Thank you for that correction. You see they are clapping. So they commissioned the standard gauge railway. This standard gauge railway is going to cost about 3.3 billion shillings. That is US dollars. And we must be proud for that. Who are we not to be happy for that project? And above it all, Tororo district is going to have the biggest station in East Africa. Tororo district here as we speak. 2, we are also going to have
the biggest railway station.
Yes. We are also going to have a polytechnic school constructed here in Tororo, where most of us here who are shouting and speaking against the government are going to be either beneficiaries or our children are going to benefit. So President Museveni has done a tremendous job. I think we must keep on supporting him. And come 2016, we rally behind him and give him votes.
Thank you so much, Julius. Thank you very much, Julius. And yes, the next person.
Thank you very much. I would first of all like this honorable house to appreciate that Uganda, being a landlocked country,
Your name you didn't say.
My name is Ajula Moses. Uganda, being a landlocked country, has suffered enormously. We believe from this integration, we shall not have a problem of transportation as a landlocked country. It means that Uganda will freely move its goods from the coast to the interior of this country without having the difficulties. But however, that one does not mean we do not have problems. I have a problem with the issues of governance and policy in all the African countries. The format at which policies have been made have always been a top-bottom approach. Can we revise that and come back to the masses on the ground to agree on policies at which this African community should be run? Then, as a person, I would suggest, since the East African community collapsed, why don't we try to be that the United States of East Africa, such that we do not have like federal governments within East Africa. Let it be one government, one common market. Excuse me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Moses. There was a hand here. I need to balance, and I want to also balance the gender because I like it when the ladies also ask questions.
Thank you, moderator. James Etukate is my name. For purpose of this, I'm a member of Cross-Border Traders Association. I want to say it this way. On principle, the East African community is excellently a good thing. In the past, for you to cross to Kenya, the first thing they would demand from you is Makanyago. Why are you in Kenya? In other words, you are stepping the land of Kenya, and you'd be penalized for that. You would be taken to jail, and you would pay dearly. Today, it has totally almost reduced to zero. But that does not mean everything is rosy. People who are engaged in trade. In Uganda, policemen harass people. In Kenya, policemen harass people, and many others. But it is something that has been moving over and over and over. We are living in a category of people with a bad culture, bad manners. People have grown from a means time up to today. They are still carrying out those same sentiments of torturing people, of grabbing from people, and so on and the rest of it. I would want to suggest, my brothers and sisters, that collectively, let's embrace East African community. We are going to enjoy this thing. That notwithstanding a few mistakes. My brother, the ambassador, has talked about socio-economic transformation. When you go to Kampala, you find youths whom you represent staying in gardens, drinking and resting, doing nothing. When you go to Nairobi, you'll find youths eating mairungi, smoking, doing nothing. The same stories in Arusha. So for you, don't sit in Arusha and just say, I'm representing. Be critical thinker and think very, very carefully for your youths. So that either they give you kisanja, even if you don't get a kisanja, but you help engage governments, engage stakeholders, such that something better is done. Governments are committed to putting in place opportunities for employment. Like my brothers here have said, the standard gauge railway. We are having very many investors. There is a phosphate here, at least for Tororo, where we are today. We are going to have a border market. We are going to have very many good things. But if two things are still working out, clearly, we are not going to benefit. The first one is corruption. It is also a culture in our system, amidst us, all of us here. We grow, we go to universities, we come out, want to get jobs, and begin driving and build big houses. The culture of corruption is just instilled in the mind. Those who have gone to school don't even want to touch holes. Out of school, don't like to work hard. They want is a wealth. That is a very serious challenge. Kenyans are doing very well because they are so hardworking. Ugandan youths are lazy. They want money from politicians.
Thank you, James.
As I conclude,
Thank you,
I would
James.
love
Let's hand
members
over
to continue giving us this kind of debates so
to
that
the
we can
lady
share
next to
and
you.
learn more. Thank you very much.
Thank you, James. The lady next to you.
Thank you, moderator, for giving me the opportunity. My name is Akiteng Vivian Udeke. I am from Tororo
What's your
Girls
name?
School. Akiteng Vivian Udeke,
Yes, Akiteng.
Tororo Girls School.
Yes, go ahead with your question or comment.
The ambassador just said that we are benefiting from the East African community. But I don't see anything so that we are benefiting from the East African community. First and foremost, the people from Kenya come and study in Uganda. There's a flying school in Soroti. They study from there. After graduating, they just leave Uganda. If it's a community, why don't you study and remain and work? Then again, you said we are benefiting. Sincerely speaking, that is not benefiting. If I come to your home, I want you to benefit. But I come to your home, I get the knowledge in your home, you teach me how to write, you teach me how to cook, teach me how to do everything. Then I end up stealing even what you have. Is that really benefiting? I will have benefited from you, but you would have not benefited from me. Please, let this thing of the East African community stop. If Uganda is to benefit, let us, our own Uganda, let us study in the Torati Flying School. We remain and work in our country. Sincerely, if our government was to think and give the youth like us to study there free of charge and we get the jobs, then we pay in the future. I don't think it will not benefit Uganda.
Thank you so much, Achiteng. Pass the microphone to the colleague next to you in blue. But I think she's talking about the issue of free movement of labor and, of course, accessing education across borders. And her view is that it's not working because she thinks that Kenyans come and study here and go back and take the skills they have learned from here back to their countries. She wishes they could work here after studying here. That's her view. She may be right, she may be wrong, she might be in the middle, but that's her view. The panelists here will respond to that.
Thank you very much. My name
You can stand where you are seated, just at the point where you are seated.
My name is Emma Ronald.
Ronald.
Yes, student of Manjas High School.
Ronald, speak up. Speak like a man. Speak like a Chiteng.
Actually, I would like to support one of the madams who was in green. Actually, you spoke rightly. We don't have...
The lady who spoke about Kitu Kidogo.
Yes, Kitu Kidogo. Actually, there is no freedom. We don't have enough freedom. Me personally, I also got some problems, like she said. Actually, when you come to Kenya, when you go to Kenya...
Were you smuggling items?
No, I was not smuggling. I crossed the border because I wanted to buy some goods, and it was clocking to Christmas. Yeah? You know, you tend to get excited, you go and buy clothing, you buy different foodstuffs, yeah?
Yes.
So I also crossed there and I bought chicken, yeah? But what surprised me most from the police officers in Kenya, I bought the chicken, but I was holding it by the legs,
yeah,
and it was facing down. So a guy, one of the police officers, called me, "Kijana, kuja hapa." Then, as I came close to him, he asked me, "Why is it that hen is facing the ground? You're supposed to hold it by the arms. It's supposed to face in front." It was really not fair.
He was going beyond what he's supposed to do.
Yeah, and he asked me to give him kitu kidogo. Yeah, that or else.
Did you give him?
Actually, yes, I gave him because.
How much did you give him?
100 Kenya carries. That is approximately
about 3,000
yes,
Uganda shillings.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that all?
Thank you.
I want to move to your neighbor, the lady next to you. Is there any Kenyan student here? Is there any Kenyan student? I want to hear from you as well, if you are feeling the advantage. Yes, after the lady holding the microphone.
Thank you. I'd like to talk about freedom of movement.
Yes.
And then freedom of movement of goods. Some people are talking
Your name?
about. My name is Kainza Janet Claire from Tororo School. Some people are talking about that there is no freedom of movement of goods. But my side, I say no. Because nowadays you find people from Uganda going to Kenya and people from Kenya coming to Uganda. But unfortunately, some people from these countries are harassed because they smuggle in goods. They carry goods like cocaine, tobacco. How would you expect someone from Uganda to allow someone from Kenya who is bringing tobacco and cocaine that is going to bring lung cancer, that is going to lead to the death of people in Uganda, leading to depopulation? How are people going to come up with it? And then this issue of studying. People from Kenya are coming to Uganda to study, and from Uganda going to Kenya to study. They are coming up as a team. They are working together. They are creating unity. So the East African community has really tried its level best. We shouldn't let down the East African community, but we should work together. We should rethink and work together as one to bring up the East African community moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I have some Kenyan students who are here? Who are they? I just need to listen to hear from those. We need to balance this. Are you a Kenyan student?
Yeah.
You are. Okay, tell us.
Thank you, sir. I'm Masiga Isaac Manjas High School. I'm the chairperson. Yeah, I want to disagree with Madam Kiteng. I'll not come in your home to get ideas, and you don't give me a chance to express my ideas, then I remain in your home. So when Kenyans come here to study, at least they expect something more than studies, at least a chance of a job or something. But if you come in Uganda, if you compare Uganda to all East African countries, you'll find that it is more corrupt than the rest. So to be a Kenyan and you come in Uganda to look for a job, it will cost you more than being in your country. I think that is wrong. Thank you.
Thank you, Isaac. Can I hear from another Kenyan student here? Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator.
Your name and then your question and or comment.
Okay, I'm Ochando Boniface from Manja School. Okay, I want to disagree with whoever said that at the border he was harassed of carrying the chicken upside down. Let me give you an example. How can you feel when you are carried upside down? How can you feel? So actually, the officer to me, he was actually right by the law. In fact, he was protecting the chicken from that. And also this issue of education. Yeah, in fact, for us, when we come this way, we expect after finishing our senior 6 level, we go to campus. We find it very easy to get opportunities. But where you finish your school and there is no employment, what do you expect to do? You go for greener pasture to your land to get actually.
Thank you so much. I need to come this side. I'm told there is the customs manager for Eastern Region in the audience. I want to hear from him right in front here. The customs manager for Eastern Uganda. Right here from him. If he is one of those who responds to Kitu Kidogo, Tell us your name, sir, and then your comment or question.
Thank you very much. My name is Geoffrey Balamaga. I work with Uganda Revenue Authority, Customs Department, in charge of Eastern Uganda. And I'm here to say that the East African community has actually been a benefit to us. And I'll explain myself. Why did we go into the community? First and foremost is to expand our market. Uganda is a population of 30-something million people.
35 million now.
35 million now. The East African community is a population of over 150 million people.
It is 143 million.
143, good. So that means that if you have something to sell and you have got a market of 35 million people, and then another one has a market of 143 million people, definitely the one with a bigger market is in a position to sell better. Secondly, world over, everybody is trying to consolidate himself into an economic bloc. In South Africa, we have the South African Development Community, where we have South Africa, Mozambique, Zimbabwe, Zambia, and so on. In West Africa, we have the ECOWAS. The Europeans have what we are calling the European Union. We have got the Asia Pacifics also coming together. Why? Because when we come together, we become a better bargaining bloc and power. We are here to attract foreign direct investment. When we go to court investors out there, the very first question they ask you, how many people do you have in your community? You cannot begin talking of 35 million people, because 35 million people could be just a small village in China. But if you talk about 143, somebody could listen attentively and say, okay, I'm coming over. So that is how we've managed to attract investment. And when investment gets here, we have jobs. When we have our jobs here, then our young children will grow up knowing that they have a bright future. But let me talk more about the customs union. Uganda is a landlocked country. And without the community, we certainly cannot survive, because the cost of doing business will be over and above what is expected. But as a result of the East African community, we have managed to consolidate the customs union. We have managed to implement what we are calling the single customs territory. You can clear your goods in Uganda before they leave Mombasa. We have reduced the cost of production. So, because of the EAC, we are starting to get benefits. But those benefits, of course, they are at a macro level. Down here, we still have the challenges. And part of the reason could be sensitization, as members have raised. But also the other challenge would be...
Geoffrey, maybe at the point where you say some of the problems could be sensitization.
Yes.
As an officer in charge of Eastern Uganda, do you have it within your means, within your mandate as a customs officer? Does URA take that mandate of also sensitizing the traders? Do you do that so that those bottlenecks can be plugged?
Uganda Revenue Authority has conducted several sensitization meetings together with the Minister of the East African Community within the region. But of course, we still need to do more, because we're a very big population and sensitization is a continuous process. Finally, in the EAC, to me, I believe, as individuals, We can only receive a direct benefit if you've got something to sell. Because you create markets for people who have got something to sell. If you have no eggs to sell, you do not have maize, you don't have millet, then this issue of markets will sound like a simple story. Therefore, my humble request to fellow Ugandans is, can we become productive? Can we pick up businesses? Can we go in poultry? In Busia, we export a lot of maize in Kenya. Can we add value? When you come at the border, previously you used to have a passport. Without a passport, you don't cross over. Right now, as we talk, you just need an identification card. Come with your eggs, with your ID, and you cross over into Kenya. Those are part of the benefits. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Geoffrey. Let me pick this gentleman in front here, the gentleman here, and then there is a lady's hand there, and then the gentleman. I'm coming over to you. Don't stand up. Wait, just raise your hand. You are going to to catch my eye as long as you raise your hand. It's enough. Please proceed very quickly.
Thank you, Dong.
Let's keep our questions to one short comment or question. Just keep it short, and so that we can have as many opportunities as possible.
My name is Daniel Ayet. I come from Malaba. I am in the view that the East African Community is a myth. Why? I feel the countries need to recheck themselves. Uganda, I think, needs to build accountable institutions and make policies.
Use the microphone, Daniel.
I'm saying Uganda needs to build accountable institutions, policies, like generation of our own local knowledge, especially at university level, which diversify our economy through competitiveness regionally and in regional economic groups. So you find that currently, I want to also add something on my brother. He was talking about this thing of crossing to Kenya.
Yes.
Actually, I was one time made to sit down by some officer. I had gone to buy a phone, and when I was coming back to Uganda, I was asked, why are you buying a phone? I showed him the receipt. I even had the chargers and everything. I wasn't smuggling the phone. I just going to buy a new phone because I had lost the old one. So I feel those are the things if we are to achieve the East African Community, we need to check on some of the things at the border. You cannot cross freely, even as you said. You cannot cross freely, even up to today. You go there are so many security checks. Emmanuel said talked of security checks. There are so many security checks. You are
across Kenya or this side?
In Uganda.
The Ugandan side.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much, Daniel.
And there are so many fines along that.
Fines.
That trend. Yeah.
Okay. You pass the microphone to this gentleman in front here on the extreme left, my left.
Thank you. I'm Dr. Onyango Jagire, a medical officer with Tororo Law Government.
Medical officer?
A medical officer, yes.
Yeah.
A social critic and an upcoming politician. Let me just say that as from my brother from the customs presentation, the East African Community is not a unit. Within the East African Community of 143,000 million people, there are still units called Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, and so on. And we have to go into this unit called East African Community from our own setting. And unfortunately for us, we are moving from a very weak setting. When Tanzania says we go slow on some of these things, it is because they are suspicious of our politics. So the young lady who says our politics is okay, everything is okay, people with bigger eyes seem to have a problem with our politics. That's why they are not willing to do business with us at the rate we would have expected. The suspicious politics weighs into our economy. My brother talks about value addition. In Uganda, when you talk about modernization of agriculture, you are meaning seedlings of maize, planting material, cassava cuttings to wananchi. Meanwhile, in Kenya, when you talk of modernization, you talk of tractors and modern farms. So we are not moving a tandem, and therefore we cannot just take for granted that we are part of this 143 million people just because we are within some unit called East African Community. The other bit is that there is this idea called free movement of labor. The experts tell us that our graduates are not very employable in the wider context, and that is a big problem to us. We need to go back to the basics to ensure that we produce people who can actually fit into this community we yearn to be part of. So at the present moment, even if we wanted to be part of, we are moving in from a very weak position.
Thank you so much. You have raised three very important points. Let me move to the next.
Just want to say, just the standard gauge railway, which is a big investment.
Someone has already talked about that.
Yes,
let me get the opportunity to someone else. I want to take as many people as possible. The lady.
Thank you. By the name Samatebat Petwa. I have two issues to raise. One is about the way the Ugandan people are handled in Kenya, especially what Frederick has raised. Someone might have even the identity, produce that I'm a person from somewhere. But you get most of our boys, especially the border riders, are packed there. At the end, you have to struggle and even sell something, at least which would help the family to go and remove that boy. So if it is the people who should shed tears, it is us, the mothers. Two is about corruption. Children have gone to the schools, you have spent money, you have educated the child up to the degree, the child is now a degree holder, maybe even a master. But now when jobs are looked like, I can give an example like police, when police were recruited. What happened? If you have not moved with your brother, there is no job. What do I mean by a brother? Is something in their pocket. And the people who were recruited are the people who had their brothers, who were moving with their brothers. Now, what of those ones who don't have their brothers? Where are they going to be?
Is that what they ask? They ask for a brother when they need money.
Yes, that's the man I mean. Their brother is money if you have not moved with their brother. And another one is about what my sister said, that the youths of Kenya, maybe those ones are educated from Kenya, come and get educations here. First of all, the Ugandans, they don't have jobs. Where do you expect those children to go? At least knowledge is more than what? You get knowledge and go and start where you can get. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mama. Give to the person behind you. I'm coming to all of you here. Please don't complain by standing up. Just raise your hand. I will see you. Let the gentleman first ask his question.
Okay. My name is Dube David Gilbert, a resident of Tororo. We are talking about the East African, and to me, as an individual, and at one time a student of political science and a student of political education, I strongly say East Africa would have been of great importance to the communities of Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, Burundi, and Rwanda if the policies were broad. But surprisingly, most of what is embedded are what we call in sociology, we call them narrow policies. What do I mean by narrow policies here? Narrow policies are policies that are intended to serve a few people. You have counted people who must benefit from something you're intending to bring up. Then the broader policies is what we say, for instance, if this was our community and we are applying the broader policies, it would entail all of us. You see it? So East Africa, to integrate East Africa, we all remember that East Africa started way back in the early 90s. History has it by 1917, East Africa was already in existence. And by 1977, East Africa was breaking away. Now, how do you integrate Kenya? The Ugandan education is different from Kenya. You are saying, I want to join you people together. You are getting the health sector is different. You are saying you two people, you must marry together. Even in marriage, you must have common interests. Before you get a woman or before you date a lady, you must identify certain things from her that you admire. You say she has nice hair, she has nice legs. And then the lady will also, on the other hand, say, this gentleman looks nice, he's working. Those elements within you can make you stay together. But if you have different things, you cannot really stay together. I have this to say about this procure.
Very quickly, because you have...
for instance, if we are all to go on page 5. Page 5, the title says East African Pattern States Strategic Vision. We have about 5 countries, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 countries here. But something that is very paining and very contradicting, when you look at the extreme of this, the priority areas of these countries are very controversial. And we are saying we are one community. How then are we going to achieve? Brother was talking about the gauge ready. In Uganda here, we have stopped exporting goods. This really, how is it going to help the Ugandans? We even don't have the cotton that we used to have. We don't have the coffee that we used to have. They are bringing a rally. To who?
Gilbert, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Gilbert. I wanted to come to the middle here. I am trying to balance to the middle here. Here, someone here. Gilbert, your question will be responded to. There are important questions that you have raised. Of course, the issue of comparative advantage is a real issue. But where I think that you have misinterpreted the different priority areas of these states. Remember what the gentleman from URA said, that even when we are a bloc, it is at an economic level. We are not a bloc in terms of sovereignty. That sovereignty is still maintained. Uganda still remains Uganda, but with economic interest to integrate with Kenya. But Uganda has made its vision 2040. Burundi has vision 2025. Tanzania has vision 2025. Rwanda has vision 2020. Now, each of those countries are working to integrate, but with a futuristic plan to achieve that vision. And so I think there is no contradiction. That's how I understood that point you have raised. But I think these gentlemen, the panelists here, will respond to the other issues you talked about of comparative advantage. And it is a reality. Let me take the question from the gentleman holding the microphone.
Yeah, thank you very much. Odaka Asman is my name. Certainly the next member of parliament, Tororo municipality. I think that's important.
And don't be surprised if I send people from NTV to come to you with to pay some money for the advert you're doing.
Well, as long as Charles is not the marketing manager there. Well, but I want to say this. There are only 3 things that, in my view, one is that the so-called fast tracking of the EAC did not take into considerations the very reasons why it collapsed. One of the principal reasons why the EAC collapsed in the 70s was that it was an association of heads of state. It is still the same. It has not changed. So, what my brother there, the ambassador, was talking about, you see, when you want to withdraw, you first have to get approval from the other that, okay, let me. That doesn't happen like that in partnership. You see, when you are my friend, because this is a marriage of real willingness. When you are my friend, I reserve the power either to remain a friend to you or to discontinue the friendship. That's one. 2, the issue of East African Federation must put into consideration the character of the actors, the leadership. In Uganda, we have a president who preaches integration but practices disintegration. And I can substantiate.
How is that done?
He preaches East African cooperation. He creates ethnic districts in this country. Isn't that disintegration? That is a total contradiction of a particular personality. And in fact, if one person practices two things at a go, that person is either a liar who must never be believed, or is really, I don't want to say the second one. The third one.
The last one.
Yes, and this is the last one. If we are to go into integration, you see, you cannot, and this is Tanzania's argument, that you see, let's first resolve the question within our own countries. You see, in this country, we still have unresolved questions. We have issues, the Uganda federal issues. We have now got again the issue of oil, where somebody is saying, my oil. We still have an issue of constitutionalism. You see, people think there is a constitution and constitutionalism. A constitution is what that man called piece of paper. Constitutionalism is the practice of it. We don't have, now, meaning that if we call it the piece of paper, that means, therefore, Uganda has neither a constitution nor constitutionalism. So we are just there. We are just for general happiness.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I certainly agree with you on the difference between constitution and constitutionalism. You're right, and that needs to be understood. The next gentleman.
Yeah, thank you very much. Okware Patrick from Morkatipe. For me, I think the East African community is just a word to be talked about, but the reality is not seen. Sincerely, I have not seen the difference between the time when the East African community collapsed and the current when we talk that it has revived. A common man whose aim is to be met in this East African community is not going to be realized. He's not going to see any benefit out of it. It is just for a few people who have seen something good. Now they want to confuse us and say that we are all benefiting. Sincerely, the person talking has not seen any benefit from the East African community. Neither have I seen from any community where I reside. Thank you very much.
Are you a businessman?
Yes.
You are a businessman and you trade around Tororo town, Malava?
Exactly.
Okay, thank you. Let's give the microphone here. Just here first. First here. These two gentlemen have raised their hand from almost the beginning. Just these two gentlemen first. Then I will come back there. Don't worry. Quick question or comment?
I'm Dalmas Oyuki.
Yes.
I'm proud I worked with the defunct East African community. And here I have my fellow, we are two or more, but my fellow engineer also is here, rail engineer. Ambassador, I'm requesting you. We worked. Our grandchildren are suffering. Widows are there. You say the thing is going slowly. 15 years now, it has benefited Iyala, you, and the presidents. Only those people. I'm telling you what I know from the East African community I enjoyed. It will not come because, and I'm requesting you, moderator, after my speech, allow my fellow engineer like me also to come and talk.
That's the one next to you.
No, I will show you him. We are here.
If you finish
now,
in 30 seconds.
I'm requesting you, ambassador, go and tell your people to allow us to bless them. Without our blessing, this thing will not go. Thank you much.
No, just Mr. Oyuki, what blessing do you mean? Do you want to participate in some election of these leaders?
The blessing is to pay us our dues. Our children are here, grandchildren. You can even ask them, they are here. Widows are there. My people have died. They have not benefited from their benefits. The East African community have not been paid up to now. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Now you are clearer.
Yes. By name, I'm Yusuf.
Yusuf?
From Malaba.
Mr. Oyuki, sit down. I will see him.
By name, I'm Yusuf from Malaba.
Yusuf, very quickly.
Brothers, really, we need to appreciate. I would like to really congratulate the 5 leaders of the states of the East African community. I grew in Malaba for 25 years. So far, we had a problem. When you cross to Kenya, you have to pick a temporary passport. You are given 1 month, but so far, we are given 6 months. You can do your business and come. That's the first point. So thank you for that development. The last is of the issue concerning the common market. You can cross from Kenya to Uganda to any end of Uganda and pick your goods and go back to Kenya freely. Just you pick there is a form which is called what? Common market whatever. I think my brother Osire knows better. Lastly, the less complaint really raised by Frederick. I concur with it because the issue of the border borders in Malaba, they are suffering so much. We need something should be done. Our people should feel at home in Kenya and also in Uganda. Lastly, I would raise an issue about our brothers, our fathers who are driving trucks. They are suffering in Kenya, between Malaba, Kenya, and Mombasa. So long as they see a Uganda registered number, these people suffer stops and fines. So that something should be done, brothers. Lastly, I'm finishing, brothers. We need to appreciate. Lastly, the issue of job opportunity. Uganda is giving job opportunity to Kenya. But in Kenya, to get employed, my brother, it's a task. It's war.
But
Thank you very much.
Do you have the potential? Do you have the quality to compete for that job? That is what the East African community also needs. That the best product, the best human resource on the market is the one that should get the job. But thank you so much, Patrick.
Okay.
Let's have the next person. The engineer from East African community, the old one. Where is the engineer? Okay, let's give the microphone to the engineer. The gentleman who worked in the defunct East African community.
Thank you, moderator. My name is Akol Nakoli. I worked for the same. Now, I would like to clarify one thing about East African community. I think it's a common fallacy that we know in Uganda. I want to clarify what it was, how it came about. East African community is a descendant of East African Common Services Organization, which is also a descendant of the East African Common Services High Commission. That was during the colonial era. Now, the purpose of that was purely to coordinate the common services within the territorial countries, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania, involving railways, airways, customs, and harbors. Now, when we talk of East African community now as countries, I think we are misinformed. We are starting from the wrong end. It is a service, an organization of services. But if we begin talking of East African community as a federation of countries, we are going very far off. That's why many of our participants here are viewing it as a myth. Services must come first and foremost. And in those services, they will entail nationals of the 3 or 5 partner states. Then that's how you end up with a community establishment. But when you have a situation where you enter and you can't even withdraw, that's a serious matter. That's a very serious matter. So actually, I think here we are not benefiting because even this situation of Uganda at the moment is still chaotic. You are talking of the SGR. There's already a question in Parliament about the same. So unless we address these things first, I think we are not doing anything. As my colleague said, we have not been paid. We came into Uganda here, our colleagues in Tanzania, Kenya have been paid their terminal and retirement benefits. We haven't. Now you are talking of a community to start. You have not paid half the other members who worked in the community. It becomes, thank you.
Thank you so much, Engineer. Thank you so much for the questions and for the comments. I request you to hold a bit, your hands down. We are going for a break. And when we come back, I'll take the last batch of questions, and then I will return to the panelists here to respond to all those comments and questions. Thank you. And the topic we are discussing is Uganda in the East African community, rethinking the national interest. Let's go for that break.
Do you make a lot of business deals too? Get 150 MTN to MTN minutes for 7 days and make more deals for 7,000 shillings only. Dial *160*2#. Select a bundle.
Welcome to the new world.
MTN. Everywhere you go.
Fresh every day. But during the day, it's natural for odor to creep back in. That's why you need Rexona Roll-On with Sweat Guard after every morning shower to keep you feeling clean, dry, and fresh every day. So you always pass the freshness test. Rexona, it won't let you down.
And the change of government won't stop a thing. I've run out of fingers counting the number of multinationals setting up here. What about the 3 companies that announced their plans to launch last week? I say they're shortly. Me, I'd be looking to sell. At what price? More. Much, much more. I don't know who you are or how you know these things, but one thing I'm sure of, you're in the wrong job. Here, call me tomorrow at 9 o'clock in the morning. I'd like to hear more from you.
Are you ready for your big break? The East African, understanding the region.
Gentlemen, Jesus came to set you free and to be free indeed.
In life, you don't wait. There are certain times where you wait for certain decisions, but when it comes to taking action and choices, you have to move.
Jesus Christ found me, and he actually asked me a question, whether I wanted to live or to die.
Every day of my life was struggling. It's just that God has given me this kind of hope.
GXP every Sunday only on NTV, your official inspiration station.
We share the love, we share the smile, we share the pleasures, we share it all with you, Gabane. We share
We always share things with people we love. Now with Airtel, you can share your internet too. Dial *175*5#. Select Tugabane and share your internet with up to 5 people. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Right from here, live at Tororo, Rock Classic Hotel here in Tororo, just a few kilometers, not more than 10 kilometers from the Kenyan border. And we are discussing Uganda in the East African community, rethinking the national interest. Before we went into the break, there were so many questions, but it's still question and comment time. But let me invite you, if you can follow us on Twitter, the hashtag to follow is hashtag TSRU at NTV Uganda, hashtag TSRU at NTV Uganda. Alternatively, you can use the same hashtag at the sit room Uganda. At sit room as one word, UG added to that as one word. Right now, there is a lady who had raised her hand, the lady in glasses. Can you ask your question or make your quick comment in just 30 seconds?
Protocol observed. I am Teddy Obama-Kola, a teacher in Trogazi School, born over school and educated in Tororo, born in Tororo, married in Tororo. Now, thank you very much for initiating this kind of debate. I love debate so much.
Go quickly to your question. Your time is running out.
Many have talked about what they have said, but it is until we handle the knife from the handle and not from the blade. If there are pertinent issues or concerns of the people, then you better begin by addressing the concerns. You have categorically said, for one to enter this common market, best human resource will be identified. You have not helped us to identify the best human resource. And indeed, Tororo produces the best human resource. Can you help us so that these children who are lingering here not to be under us anymore, so that they enter this true market? We are very grateful, and we want actually the identification for that best quality of human resource. And we see whether people of Tororo cannot produce. Osukuru produces a great deal of minerals. Standard gauge railway, the great main road is here. What have our children benefited from? We are here to demand that we need benefit of these things, and people demanding for their backlog should equally be cleared. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. The gentleman in front of you.
Moderator, I'm very much thankful. I'm a district councillor from Mela. I represent the rest of the district councillors not available here. I am in agreement with the rest of the panelists seated with you, the three, that this community is on the failing side. It is going to be a myth. Until Christ comes back, then it will take place fully. The first speaker, the ambassador, said that it is seemingly alive and growing stronger. Seemingly, the word seemingly is doubtful. And then my friend George said, as I now got my point, he said that we need, he said, I think, and he said doubtfully that the East African community is functional and not to the benefit of the common man. And then the next person, panelist there said that it required us to have entered it step by step. All these are regrettable statements. And I'm also joining them in regretting for the failure.
So, thank you so much.
So, I'm therefore giving this, like Julius Nyerere said, that it would have been better before independence, because there's now greed for power. Two, we have not sat down in various regions of Uganda to do a SWOT analysis, looking at the strengths we have, the opportunities, the weaknesses, and the threats that are within our Uganda, the Ugandan situation. Next, we are still an agricultural state, not an industrialized one. Next, we still have an information gap. Next, we have imbalanced resources in these East African countries. And next.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. The district councillor, I have to move. We are running behind time.
Thank you very much. But I have a lot.
Get the gentleman. That
Thank
gentleman, give the microphone to him. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Bwana Moderator.
Quickly, please.
Bob O. Patrice Awori is my name, a Ugandan. Bwana Moderator, I had many, but now, since other members have spoken...
Choose your best. Choose your most powerful.
I now have three.
Please.
Bwana Moderator,
I'm giving you opportunity for two.
You will agree with me that when we talk about East African community, it is very practical on paper, but very inactive on action.
That point has been made. Please.
Why am I saying this?
Move to the next point.
Can we talk about trade union? If you look at the trade union of Kenya, it is very much respected in Kenya. You talk about trade union of Tanzania, it is very much respected. If you come to the trade union of Uganda, it is not anywhere felt by Ugandans. If you talk about tourism sector of Kenya is far, far better in comparison with the tourism of Uganda. Now, when an old man says, if you see big giraffes running away, the young ones must follow suit and must run in the same direction. And this is why Tanzania...
Suggest your solution. Those problems have been stated. It is good you have stated them. Now state a solution.
My solution, Bwana Moderator, my solution is that we should follow suit of Tanzania and we go slowly if Ugandans are going to benefit.
Thank you so much. Let me have the last person, that lady. She had raised her hand from the beginning. That is the last question coming our way from the audience. We have to come back to the panel. Please, quickly, your question.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Moderator. I have 3 things.
Please raise 2 very quickly.
Okay,
we have
please.
no time now left for you.
I want to raise 2. One is that the East African community is a mirage. And what we are seeing as common men, we are just seeing an integration of the leaders of the member states of East Africa. But the common man has not even seen, and they have not even felt what they call the East African community. It is just like a baby that is in the incubator. It is only the parents that know that it exists and those who have been involved in it. So please, our ambassador, take this message to our leaders, the key leaders of the countries, that let them bring this thing down to the common man. Otherwise, if it remains up there, then it will simply remain as a mirage. 2, the issue of corruption, I am appealing to the ambassador to take the message to the leaders of our countries that they should come up with stringent measures to check corruption. Otherwise, the East African community will remain a dream and it will collapse in a more miserable way than the other old one. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thanks so much for the questions and comments. I'm coming back to the panelists here. I want to start with Frederick, the CEO of Milestone, to respond to the questions that were raised to him. The issue of intimidation at the borders is one of those that you should respond to. The issue of Kitu Kidogo, and then the issue of drug trafficking across the borders. Is that in 3 minutes?
Yes, thank you very much, Charles. First, I would like to declare my position and say that I am not opposed to the East African integration. I am fully in support of it. But I question strongly a number of things. On that point, therefore, I would like to revert to my brother, O.D.A. Julius. He raised a few things that we are being against government policies and programs, something like that. But I don't want to go political. I know we are tending towards a political period, and Mr. O.D.A. Julius is a strong member of NRM and very close to State House. And you know always people who are close to State House, how they speak.
Please,
so
Frederick, keep to your question, keep to the issues. That his work does not concern what he has raised as an opinion he has given.
And that's why I don't want to go political. And therefore, the issue of intimidation, harassment, and drug trafficking, something like that. Like you've heard from the audience, very many of them have said there's a lot of intimidation across the borders. Therefore, my stand, therefore, is East Africa as a region, we should come together and have a unified system of governance, a unified monetary system, a unified identity. Not the idea of saying we are a system, and yet we are saying that for you to enter my home, you need to get recommendation, you need to get permission from me. But we are saying we are a community. Why can't I come and knock at your door and say, Charles, here I am. Can I spend the night over here? That is the kind of community we want. So the political leadership, first of all, has to be instituted. Not this issue of us having the summit being President Museveni, President Uhuru Kenyatta, Kagame, and then the other people. And then when you realize the policies being made here, they still have influence on it. That is something that we should shift away from it.
But how can you shift away from that? Yet these are heads of state, and they have actually as much interest in the growth of a country that they represent as you as a person, except that you are not elected. I don't understand that contradiction.
This is what I'm saying, Charles.
I thought,
for instance,
the mandate given to a head of state, an MP, a councillor, as you go down, is that he is supposed to represent the good interests. Probably what we could complain about if those interests are not in tandem with the interests of the country. And that is why we are saying rethinking the national interest. That we are trying to interrogate to see, does Museveni meet Kagame to talk about interests that concern Uganda? Like the engineer asked, if they have not been paid, those are the things we should interrogate and ask President Museveni and say, why are these ex-servicemen of the East African community not paid, and yet it has been revived 15 years down the road? I think that is what we would need, but not to say that they should not be involved. I think you get my point.
I did not say they should not be involved, but I said there should be a proper governance system, whereby if you have a policy-making body, for instance, you realize right now in the East African community, the East African Legislative Assembly does not have the mandate to move motions. It is the Council of Ministers that has to do that. But
thank you, Frederick. Let me now come to Jorwell. Jorwell is a businessman, and there are so many questions that have been asked about, especially respond to some of the issues that Geoffrey, the customs boss, raised on issues of market opportunities. Don't leave that. And the fact that East African community presents an opportunity to, leverage our, population advantage and all that as a bloc.
Thank you. I'm called Emmanuel Joel once again.
Very quickly.
One thing I can tell you that the integration is very important for all of us. And I want to look at a few things. One is freedom of movement. Freedom of movement in East Africa is actually okay according to the protocol. But the only problem we have currently is that people are not aware about this information. So there is people acting with ignorance. But however, the laws are actually very clear. My biggest concern goes to the common market. If you look at East Africa as a community, each nation has what it does best and what it does not do best. For example, I can give you Uganda. We Ugandans are two strong people, but we are not good at production. When you look at the Kenyans, they are so good at tourism and marketing. When you look at my brothers from Burundi, these things of real estates, they don't know. They even don't have clear information about it. So what should we do as a nation right now? As Uganda, we should prepare our nation, our people for the market. What are we going to do as a nation? We have to come back down on production. We have to start startups. Startups, I'm talking about new businesses, new innovations for the people who qualify. Recently, I was told a 15-year-old boy from Nigeria made something very wonderful. It cannot be done here in Uganda. Why? Because we are not supporting the startups. So we are saying that when we support the startups, we are able to meet the demands in the market. If Kenya is good at marketing, let's not struggle in marketing. Let's struggle in production of what? Agriculture. Let's do agriculture, give them food that they cannot produce. If Tanzania is not good at fish, let's produce for them fish and take to the market.
Thank you
This is what
so
we are talking
much,
about.
Jorwell. Let me now come to our last panelist. Let me come to Jacob. The issue of, is it a myth? And then the question of value addition in order to compete, addition of quality, and the whole thing of comparative advantage like Jorwell is talking about. Wind up with that.
Thank you, Charles. I will surely not have enough time for all your questions. I invite us to have a communication and a conversation after this. But to the points you raised, number one, is the East African community a myth? Now, it is very simple to understand that the absence of evidence is not the evidence of absence of crime. You cannot say that because I do not see it, it is therefore non-existent. We cannot have the same site. the East African community, like I said, is very present and very strong. It may not yet have reached you, and those are some of the challenges. We need to appreciate as Africa that, and as nations in the East African community, that we may want to see some things as we hear them, but they may not yet have reached the grassroots. Policy implementation is not a one-day process. It is not a two-day process. The same applies for democracy. I will give you an example. In the United States of America, a democracy that is today 200 years old, until 30 years ago, the black man would not vote. And yet the democracy was at about 170 years. So some of these developments need to be given time. And that is what was wrong with the falling of a previous community. If you rush something, it will not fit it is aimed to achieve. Then to the question of disparities. We have fears of disparities, say, in our political systems. What will happen if, say, this system doesn't have term limits? We have said as a East African community that we shall maintain the sovereignty of partner states to a certain level. And I've already said that some issues, or actually all issues in the East African community, are by virtue of consensus. So if, as a East African community, we are taking on a political federation, even there should be a consensus built around the term, the number of terms a leader is supposed to take if they're leading the East African community. It may be different at your national level, but at the regional level, there will be consensus about it. And it will not be about what Uganda stands for, what Kenya stands for, but what as East Africa we stand for. And I think that is a conversation we need to have moving forward. Finally, on the issue that has really caused a lot of alarm, do we actually have these matters at the grassroots? Are we involved? And I think that is where the most important part is. The East African community is aiming at being people-centered. And that is why the former one failed. That you have a community at this level and at the grassroots no one is involved. The East African community, through the Ministries of East African Affairs, undertakes to have sensitization programs at grassroots levels. And the Ministries of East African Affairs are handling that at all grassroots structure levels in our country. It is a different question to say that we are not having it in Tororo. It is a question of the implementation of those policies. It is not a question to have those policies implemented. And the regional level is we need to have these policies implemented. You cannot charge the community, therefore, for the failure of implementation by national structures, because the community exists at a platform that may not be able to come down to the national structure. So that is why they were establishing, that is why they established the East African community ministries in partner states. So if they are not yet here, we should be questioning the government officials. Why is the East African community not at this grassroots? Why is there no sensitization here? Because there needs to be one. I, for one, carry out sensitization among young people. And my area of target is university students, because these are resources going into the market. And I can tell you that for the last 1 month, I've held over 4 sensitization programs in the universities in this country. And so are the other ambassadors doing in the other partner states. At community level, that is supposed to be an endeavor for the ministry officials. If they are not doing it, like I've heard, we are going to lodge a complaint to all the respective bodies that the sensitization at the grassroots here is not working. Even the question of the border. If a policeman should harass you because you're crossing the border, and yet we have a common market and a customs union, then that is also deplorable, and we need to avert that. So to that effect also, we will take action that if there is a police officer that is doing that, do not simply go back home and sit home about it. Then you're not making relevant the structures of governance. Report that officer to the relevant authorities. Should they come and ask for extra fees in terms of taxation because you're going across the border, the customs union gentleman from URA is here. Get his contact. Tell him what is happening here is like this. Let us have a conversation as a country that is moving forward. I would like to end with the words of Dr. Dlamini Zuma that was actually repeating what Nyerere said in 1960. As Africa, we either integrate or we perish. Mwalimu Nyerere said that if three cannot integrate at 1960, then 2 must integrate. There is no weakness in unity, only strength. We cannot, as East Africa, see the opportunity to unite as a dishonorable opportunity. It is really unknown to me that people choose to unite and they see that as an opportunity for failure. So the spirit in the East African, the spirit in the common man should be, how do I benefit from the East African community? And young people, I want to tell you, how you benefit is by choosing to participate, choosing to foster it moving forward, as opposed to calling it down or saying it is not helping us, therefore it should stop. Find out how you can get involved and better it. Thank you.
Thank you, and you have heard that preaching from none other than Eyero Jacob. He's a youth ambassador to the EAC, very passionate about the EAC issues. Of course, our guest, Mr. Emmanuel Jorwell, he's the CEO of Jersey Limited here in Tororo, and Mr. Ekakoro. I apologize, we were supposed to have had Mr. Obore George Alfred, the mayor of Malaba Town Council, but I'm told he crossed into Kenya because there was someone he lost there abruptly, and so he couldn't be with us. But to the audience here at Tororo, thank you all very much. To the students, thanks for engaging in this kind of debate. It is about your future. It is about the future of this country. Thanks so much to the organizers, UYONET, the Uganda Youth Network that makes this possible, in conjunction with GLIS, the International Republican Institute, USAID, and of course the DGF that made it possible by funding this rather expensive airtime on NTV, and the technical team of Charles and Waswa and your entire team. Thank you so much from me, the moderator of this program today. Thank you, and have a good weekend.
NTV, turning on your world.
When I just do like this, they know I'm a member of parliament coming from the area where there are gorillas. Nobody has that sign language of all members of parliament in the world.
abagagga sawa 11 n'ekitundu abaazi okusedda abaavu nga bakyebase bazaala baana bano bemukola simanya baby shower ne weekubisa omufaananyi ng'otadde okutu ku mwana n'omwana olusiwo.
Those guys would have killed our families in seconds. Angela, Rosangela, come here, dear. This lady is the one who got you your project. She's the boss. Oh, really?
Must watch.
My love, if you're not going to answer it,
you're not my daughter. Yandev, you work for me. So why am I going to my wells and crunch the numbers?
Must watch. This is NTV. This program is rated PG. It is suitable for children ages 8 and above, but parental guidance is advised as it might contain mild violence and mature situations.
Why isn't anyone coming to my booth? Do they not like what I've prepared today? If I was in Pushkar at my shop, I would have been surrounded by customers the whole day. I don't know what's happening here.